I hear
Okay.
you.
Yeah. Third time's the charm. Yeah. Yeah. I guess we go together now, baby. Yeah.
Girl, I love everything about
Everything.
I just need you around.
Bad boy, take that. Take that. Can't stop, won't stop. Greetings. This is the Journey of a Relationship podcast, episode 3 on the I Can't Afford to Quit podcast network. This is Bren'Tel, and on the phone we have Janelle.
Hello.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm decent. You quarantining?
I am. I'm bored. Now I am. I had to get out for a little bit, but I'm back in the house.
I just thought of a topic, so I called, Janelle, and I wanted to talk about, because I had it. Hold on, let me look at it for sure. It's kind of like I literally just thought of it. Been inspired by some other podcasts that I've been listening to, and the first thing I wanted to address was the pressures in a relationship, meaning like financial pressures to fulfill in a relationship, meaning like financial stuff, emotional fulfillment, physical, those three things of maintaining a balance between two, giving your person significant time, energy, love, etc. Because like I'm thinking like in a marriage it has to be tough for every man, because just speaking from my perspective, you have to like provide in the midst, like just like anybody else in a capitalistic society, you're going to be pinned down by the time it takes to provide. And the time that it takes to provide is going to subtract from the time it is to nurture a bond with your family. Just because I was thinking about like the conversation that we had yesterday, like even with like Ava, because I was telling Janelle yesterday, like I was looking at her like baby pictures and stuff like that, and like I seen her energy in the pictures, and like as she got older, that it's went away because I've struggled on like the financial side to make sure she's good and she has all of this stuff that she needs, but it takes away from the time that I'm able to spend with her on an everyday basis, and we've been in survival mode for so long. It's dimmed that energy that she's had, you know what I'm saying, when she was a kid and there was no worries and things of that nature, and it kind of made me sad, to look at it. And then I thought about it as like in a relationship, if you are in the situation as such, like if you're trying to provide and spend time and make sure everybody's emotionally cared for, the balance for that is hectic.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on
that? A lot of things are going through my mind, but I think there's the first angle that came to mind was like, as a single parent, the inner struggle that goes on with that, because you are trying to provide, which that's a strain in and of itself. And then you have to, like you said, make time for your child. And then on top of that, you have to be there, help them through like the change in the family structure, while you're still trying to maybe process that on your own. And then on top of that, you have to think about like your child's like mental health and you know, make sure that they you know, realize that sometimes in life things don't work out with their parent, but you still have to make sure they know they're still loved, that you know, both parents still love them. And then you have to like work through the new normal. So that's a lot, you know, for a child, and then that's a lot for the parent. But like I was telling you, you know, kids are like adaptable. Like they really are. Like I think at the end of the day, especially the older they get, they know that you have to provide, and they know you have to, you know, go to work every day, and it's because you're trying to give them a better life. And I don't think that's lost on them, especially when like you're still trying to be present. So you're still talking to them, you know, you're still present as a parent. Like they see it. And I think like we have to be gentle to ourselves, you know, with that, because we're all like, most of us are trying to like do the best we can with the cards we've been dealt. So I think your kids, they know that. And it's hard because you want, you know, you want more, but you just have to kind of like understand that, I mean, it's life. Like it's what it is, but do your best. That's what I say. And just keep talking to them, you know, checking in with them, asking them how they are, how they feel, you know, and find out what they want to do. You know, well, first identify to me their love language, and then work through that. But if it's quality time, you know, asking like, what do they want to do? Like, do they want to? How can you show them, you know, that you know, care? Like, basically, like maybe for one kid, it could be, you know, playing a game or a video game or a board game or, you know, going to the park. And for another kid, it could be something else, going to the movies. Like, you have to figure out what it is with your, you know, with your child, what they need, and then go from there. So,
like, even with your, like, were you done? I'm sorry. I don't know if I cut you off. Were you done?
No, you good.
Okay. Having the kids and you working, like, there's another angle that I just thought of. Like, when both people have goals that they're working towards, right? They become, okay, how do you set your goals to benefit your relationship? Your individual goals have to be in stride with your relationship. Because like both people being on the grind can possibly create a situation where you're neglecting one another because you're trying to get to a certain aspect to help or accomplish like one aspect of the relationship, like the financial fulfillment of making sure, all right, let's create this experience. We need to get overtime to go to Disneyland or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So you guys pick up hours or do whatever, create a business or whatever. And that takes away from your relationship if you're not doing it like as a team. So, like, go ahead.
I mean, I think it's important to, that's where, like, good communication comes into play because if it's, like, understood and you guys, it's understood that you have a mutual goal that you're trying to reach, and, you know what you need to do to get there, and if that means, you know, working more hours or, you know, getting another job, a second job, that's what you have to do if you're trying to achieve a specific goal. And that is temporary, you know what I mean, until you reach that. It could be temporary until you reach that goal, unless you want to make a new goal. So you know there's going to have to be some sacrifices made for the greater good, like in the long run, so that it'll be better. So right now, maybe some things have to be cut. Maybe there's certain things you can't do anymore that you used to be able to do. Maybe you have a budget and you're trying to stick to that or whatever. Both people, if they're on the same page, should be able to understand that it's not a slight. It's not to say, like, you know, your partner or significant other doesn't want to spend that time with you. It's just they got to do it. You know what I mean? They got to grind. They got to do what they have to do for your future. So if two people, you're reasonable people, like you, that should be understood, and it should not be taken personally if that may cut into the time that you spend together, because in the long run, you will get that time back.
Right. So basically, it kind of comes back to communication, effective communication.
It always does. My favorite thing. Yes, it does.
I have nothing else I want to talk about on that aspect, like that without that concept or whatever I was thinking about. What do you feel about, like, your friends? Like, how have you been with managing your friends?
What about your friends?
Hey,
It's still a work in progress. I think I'm doing better with some more than others, but it's not for my lack of effort. So I try, especially like during this time where we went through. I've been trying to, check in with everybody to see how they're doing, and I think we're all just trying to get through this time the best we can. But I still, for me, it's still a balancing act, honestly. With my friends, I know, like, for some, I don't see them as often or spend as much time with them as they may like. But I don't know. I feel like that's going to happen. I mean, friendships kind of ebb and flow, and like we've talked about in our previous episodes, for me, like, our relationship has been like super high priority for me, and making sure that that's as healthy as it can be. And that's kind of been my focus. But I feel like I've always been a phone call away from my friends, and that I'm not hard to find, and I'm there. So that FaceTime might be less, but it's less anyway because of what's going on right now anyway. So it's kind of like, it's just a constant balancing act. How do you think you're doing?
I'm good. I've been checking and reaching out and checking on everybody, see how they doing. I just joked on Brendan and he ain't replied, but he ain't like what I said, but oh well. Shout out to you, Brendan.
What you say?
Oh no, I ain't gonna do that to him.
What?
Yeah, I ain't gonna do that to him.
Leave us hanging. Anyway.
But
we want to know.
Nah. I ain't gonna do it like that. Yeah, I've been good. I think I've been good. I mean, me and Kirsch talk every day, so just about. So, and then I checked on Mike, checked on Brendan. Those really the people that I really talk to every day. So, I would say I'm about a high C, maybe.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Let's
You're
go
trying.
into for sure. I talked to my dad this morning, so yeah, he called me and we checked in and stuff. So, but
Cool.
hold on for a second. I want to pick a song real quick. Let's go into Is It Wrong? So we can get in and out. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's see here. Let me jam out for a second. Hold on. Hey. Yeah.
Back in the days
When I was young, I'm not a kid anymore. But some days I sit and wish I was a. Hey. Anyway. Is it wrong to not have something to talk about in a relationship?
I feel two ways about it, but my first thought was no, it's not wrong. I think that if you, depending on how frequently you talk to someone that you're with, so like we talk every single day, right? And we have, I don't think we've ever missed a day of not talking to each other. And we talk like multiple times a day. So, I repeat. So, sometimes, like, I know you get talked out.
I'm done talking. Damn. Hold on for a second. Sorry, we had technical difficulties. The phone hung up, but I didn't save the actual podcast, so this is all the second take. So if it seems a little short or, not as detailed, that's why. And action.
Okay. So, in answer to your question, as I was saying, when you talk to your significant other as much as we do, multiple times a day, sometimes it's possible to get talked out. Where, I lost my face.
Where it's possible to run out of stuff to talk about if you talk every day.
Yes, and that's okay. Yes, and I think the important thing to take away is that that's okay, because especially if you normally spend a lot of time talking to a person. If it was always like that, where you didn't have anything to talk about, then that would be a problem. But I think when you feel like you don't really have much to talk about, like, just take a break from the conversation. Like, don't force it. Come back later and talk, or the next day, and then there should be something, else to talk about after you've taken, like, a little bit of a break. I think it's better to do that than kind of just sit on the phone and not really have anything to contribute to the conversation.
So what you do?
Nothing. So, and repeat. So don't do that. It's okay. It's not like, it doesn't mean anything as far as, like, your relationship. It just means you're a human. And sometimes, like, we get mentally drained, or we got nothing. And that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I agree with you. I don't think it's wrong. I guess the question should have been, is it normal? And I think that is a normal thing. It happens. Feel free to, like, because, really communicate. Like, a lot of times we're sharing information, or we are of some sort, even if it's what your day is, how you feel, that's information. Sometimes you're not going to have information to share, to carry a conversation. It's completely normal. Live life and then come back to the conversation. Yeah. And you'll have something, a productive conversation.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely, yes. And sometimes it's just not that deep.
It really is.
Yeah.
I'm done talking. I got no more talk for you.
I'm over it. It's okay, Go do something else that you enjoy doing, and then come back. So. All good.
Question number 2. Let me save this because we got that one done, so we don't want to crash again. Let's see.
No problem.
In the midst of conflict, is it wrong to wait to address an issue until you have processed it fully with your significant other? Like, should you wait to deal with it in the midst of conflict?
Yes and no. I am team, let's talk about it right now and hash it out, chop it up, get it out of the way. So, for me, I prefer to get everything out in the open because the sooner you do it, then the sooner you can come to a resolution and move past it. My sig is not like so. You would much rather wait, process it, come back to the conversation, have time to think about it, et cetera, et cetera. So, I've kind of had to adjust to that when I haven't wanted to, but I've tried my best. But I think that should be situational, which direction you go, whether you talk about it then and there or whether you wait, but it depends on your mood and it depends on the severity of the issue. So if it's something, maybe it's like a slight misunderstanding, you're not really mad, I'm not really mad, nobody's really tripping about it, then maybe that could be talked about then and there, squash it, move on. If it's something more serious, then, maybe it is best to just wait, and discuss it so that both people are mad, somebody doesn't say something out of pocket or something they don't really mean to hurt the other person because they're talking through anger. And so that can lead to, like, other problems and that you don't want. So, I think it's important to kind of gauge, whenever there's a new issue, gauge, the best course of action and then go from there. For me, the problem with delayed gratification is that I need to know, like, when are we coming back to this? Like, do you need a day? Do you need an hour? Do you need just a few minutes, that's helpful for me. So then I'm not so anxious to be like upset and be like on edge, waiting for you to come back to the conversation. And then like, if that happens, then like, and I don't know, then you come back to the conversation, you're all calm and kumbaya, and I'm like still mad, then our energies don't match, and then it's another hurdle to get past, because we're not aligned, and I might be upset about the issue and the fact that I had to wait to talk about the issue because I was left hanging, or felt like I was left hanging, and then there goes that. So, what do you think?
I think it's one of those things where, for me, because I'm like the latter part of it, like I like to analyze and really sit and process conflict before I deal with it. Not so much deal with it, but if speak on it or speak to a significant other, to where like somebody that I really care about, I try to be a little more gentle, or that's my purpose of taking the time to process and look at my perspective and try to see it from their perspective, so I can go in and talk with a sense of like empathy. But
I think that though, if you cut the conversation too short and it doesn't allow someone to tell you their perspective, then you have to still do that work when you come back to the conversation. So when you're processing, it's like you still don't really know fully how that person feels because they haven't been able to dive in and give you all the aspects of why they feel the way they do. You still have to peel back layers when you come back to the conversation. So when you're processing, it's still like you're more or less still processing just your feelings. If you don't at least allow that person to tell you why they feel the way they do about whatever the conflict is. So that's something to keep in mind as well. So am I riding along? No, not necessarily. I think it should just be situational based on the issue that you're dealing with. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, are you done? You good?
Yeah.
Is there any meat left on the bone? Because you always think about it after the podcast is over with, and I hate that. You know what I'm saying? Like that feeling once you go, like, shit, I should have said.
I think that you just have to just extend grace and to the person and give them the benefit of the doubt, allow them to tell you how they feel. Listen, be open to, what they're saying, their perspective, even if it's different than yours.
It's dumb to be nice.
It's dumb to listen. And shout out to Ashton. And think that that's how you get through conflict. Just be open. Allow your significant others, like the space and the grace, to tell you, to talk to you, and just be open. So, yes, I think because if you're not, then they're going to be hesitant to talk to you.
What the freak? Hold on for a second.
You want to allow, you want to basically, you want it to be a safe space. So you want your significant other to not hesitate in talking to you, whether there's conflict or not. You just want to be there and you want to, listen. Be kind. Yeah, try to understand, their perspective. So.
I couldn't agree more. With that being said, I have nothing else. Until next time. Well, actually, what do you want to talk about? Give me something that you want to say or you want to do within the next podcast that you want to address. Not address, but like, a goal from the next podcast that you want to have accomplished.
Hopefully, we'll have we'll just all be in a better place. Where it will spark more conversations about how we made it through during this time, because I know that it's probably tested some relationships because we have been quarantined in our houses, and it's tested some relationships. So we just have to practice patience and kindness and understanding. So.
All right. My goals, I don't have any. I just thought it would be a great question, but I just needed to line the song up for the end.
You need some space to do that. I feel used.
Until next time, we will holler at y'all, man. Be safe out there. Wash your hands. Wash your ass. You know what I'm saying? Don't touch your face. Don't cough on nobody.
Cough in your elbow. Yeah. Right. And don't take all the toilet paper. Stop doing it.
Yes. Hand wipes. All that. Spend time with your kids while you're in there, too. That'd be cool.
Yes.
In the crib.
Yes.
I holla.
Bye.
Let's see, clear song. We're gonna do this.
But the hard part was having to admit to myself that I've made a mistake.
Oh, never mind. Wrong song. I feel.
We're having all kinds of technical difficulties.
You know what? Fuck it. You just go ahead. We're gonna go out on this.
So sorry.
We just gonna go out on this. All right, y'all have a good time. Be safe.
You have a blessed evening.
Love each other. All right now.
Bye.